The Tour de France is the most exciting and demanding sporting spectacle in the world, pushing riders to absolute limits in pursuit of the iconic yellow jersey. It's also home to some serious bike and equipment development, and nowhere is the evolution of the humble bicycle better visualised than in the bikes that have won this race over the years. This year marks the 108th edition of the race, and in this video I'll pick just 8 of the most famous and iconic bikes to have won the Tour de France. Now I'm sure you'll disagree with my choices, and that's what the comment section down below is for, so do let me know your favourite bikes from the Tour de France. And if you enjoy watching this video, be sure to like and subscribe as well. In recent history, the most successful race bike is the Pinarello Dogma. The Dogma has been constantly updated. The Dogma was originally a magnesium bike in 2002, but in 2009 it turned into a carbon bike with the Dogma 60.1. Bradley Wiggins won the race in 2012 with a Dogma 2, and since then the bike has been updated many times. The Dogma 65.1 Think 2, then the F8, F10 and most recently the F12. The distinctive Pinarello curves have softened with each generation as the aero improvements have come thick and fast. All Team Sky Ineos winning bikes have had Shimano Dura group sets and most of the time matching wheels. Now, technically the Lotus 110 didn't win the Tour de France, but Chris Boardman did win the opening prologue time trial twice. First in 1994, achieving the fastest ever average speed in a Tour de France time trial, a record that stood for 21 years. It is, in my opinion, the most beautiful road bike ever made and to win at the Tour de France. It was first developed for the track in the 108 and then updated with the 110 and made available in a version of the road with gears and brakes. It was a bike radical for its time. Its carbon composite monocoque frame was designed to minimise wind resistance and reduce drag, and didn't follow the traditional double diamond frame design. The iconic design came from the brains of Mike Burrows, who would also go on to revolutionise road bike geometry with a giant TCR. And its speed was clearly head and shoulders above the rest. No wonder it was eventually banned by the UCI. We won't mention his name, but the second American to win the Tour de France had a big impact on the sport, and so did the Trek bikes he raced. Here was a partnership that brought 7 straight Tour de France victories, since White from official records of course, and put Trek firmly in the spotlight. Love or loathe him, it was Lance's push for better bikes and the obvious marketing opportunity of a multiple Tour de France winner that really challenged the Trek engineers to develop the Madone platform after first debuting its carbon road bike in 1992. The first Tour victory came in 1999 on the 5000 series bike using the OCLV carbon manufacturing process. It was the first time the Tour had been won on a carbon bike from start to finish. Despite the advanced frame material, it had a traditional geometry with a forward sloping top tube. The bike soon morphed into the Madone in 2004 and over time embraced the latest standards like press fit bottom brackets and a sloping compact geometry pioneered by Giant with a TCR. Today, the Madone is an out-and-out aero race bike, while the Emonda is a spiritual successor to the early carbon pioneer. Less is remembered of the Italian frame that Greg LeMond used to win the 1989 Tour de France, because his adoption of aerodynamic equipment is the most notable feature here. The first American to win the race, and by the most slender of margins, just 8 seconds. He did so by using radical aero handlebars for the final time trial along with an aero helmet. Such aero equipment is standard fare these days of course, there's no disputing the benefits of aerodynamics. But in 1989 it was groundbreaking and gave Le Mans the winning advantage. The frame these parts were attached to was a steel Batacchia, which, while using a traditional frame material, had anything but a traditional appearance, with a sloping top tube and a smaller 650c front wheel. Racing against the clock would never be the same again. Aero was here to stay. Arguably the greatest cyclist of all time, Eddy Merckx won 5 tours from 1969, all aboard a self-branded steel frame racing bicycle that was a cutting edge at the time. They were steel, lugged and orange. The early steel frames used Reynolds tubing and were made by a local Belgian frame builder called Kessels. This was a time when local frame builders served the needs of racing cyclists and the tubing supplier was just as important as the name on the down tube. In later years, he would ride frames made by De Rosa and Carnago, but finding reliable and accurate information is as hard as finding photographs of Eddy Merckx in his prime. Following steel's long-running reign, and before carbon fibre was really sorted, aluminium enjoyed a brief moment in the spotlight, and a man who really enjoyed the spotlight was the flamboyant Italian sprinter Mario Cipollini. Much of his success came aboard a Cannondale CAAD4, an aluminium frame with famously fat tubes that was much stiffer and lighter than any steel frame of the time. The bright red and yellow paint finishes and the futuristic looking 4-bladed spin-tube wheels were also iconic. The wheels were later banned by UCI. This also marked the emergence of the American bike brand into the very traditional European focused bike racing world. Before Team Sky handed Italian bike brand Pinarello a slew of victories, it enjoyed much success in the 1990s thanks to Miguel Indurain. Despite the appearance of carbon fibre in the 1990s, Indurain stuck with tried and tested steel frames. As such, 4 of his 5 Tour victories were all aboard steel bikes, and in fact he was the last person to win a Tour de France on a steel frame bicycle. Rumour has it that the frames were actually made by the famous and late frame builder Dario Pegoretti. This was a practice much more widespread before the advent of moulded carbon fibre frames. Indurain was switched to aluminium in 1995 for its last Tour victory. The oldest bike company in the world last enjoyed Tour de France success in the 1998 Tour de France at the hands of the late Marco Pantani. His Bianchi Mega PRO XL race bike is an icon, both because of the yellow and celeste colour with matching yellow saddle and stem, but also because of the frame. This marked the last time an aluminium frame won the Tour de France, or any other material besides carbon fibre in fact. Rumour has it that Bianchi made extremely lightweight frames with wafer-thin tubes designed purely for climbing, really pushing the limits of the technology at the time. It weighed a reported 6.96 kilograms, so light even by today's standards, though I'm not sure if the durability would be as good as a modern race bike. Those then are 8 of the most iconic and famous Tour de France winning race bikes. There are many more I could have included of course, and do let me know which ones I missed in the comment section down below. I hope you enjoyed watching the video, and if you did, hit that like button, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you all again next time. Thank you for watching.